Hi, Dusty.
Hey, Nikos.
Welcome in Prague.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you here, and thank you for joining the conference. Looking forward to it and to your speech.
Thank you very much.
I was actually thinking how we first met, and remember that was a year ago in Washington, and I remember I was introducing you sociomapping that time, and when you were sitting next to Wayne, your colleague, I was showing you the map, I was showing you the tool, and at some moment I saw you smiling. It was like a strange smile, and I said, why this guy is smiling? And then you said, you know, that's exactly fitting to the work I do for 30 years, and you told me about the courageous.
Actually, Wayne Gerber was there with me, an associate of mine, and I looked at him and I started smiling at him because he knew what I was thinking just as we were talking about the maps. And for me, what I've seen as I've worked with folks over the past 30 years is that where leaders or teams or organizations lack courage, where they lack the emotional strength, they get themselves in trouble. And so as we were talking, I'll just quickly review the 7 acts. The first act is the courage to dream and put the dream out there. The second is the courage to see current reality. Third is the courage to confront. The fourth is the courage to be confronted. The fifth is the courage to learn and grow. The sixth is the courage to be vulnerable. And the seventh is the courage to take action. So as I was looking at the socio-maps with you and we were talking about it, I saw a way to look at a team and say, do they have the courage to dream of where they want to go? And let's take a look at the current reality. So current reality is where we are. Courage to dream is where we want to go. And then to get there, it takes the courage to take action and the courage to confront the issues and to be confronted with the data and the reality. And that was very exciting to me because it was the first time I saw a way to visually tie together this whole issue of emotional intelligence tied to the emotional strength to go through the fear, the doubt, and uncertainty to make things happen. That was exciting.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for explaining. Now, what would you say to someone when he tells you, well, what if I find something which I don't like in the map?
Well, I just simply put it this way. Would you rather know what you're up against, or would you rather be blindsided? Mm-hmm. Every time an executive or a team or an organization gets blindsided, it's not good. It's not good news. Mm-hmm. It's something we didn't see coming. It's something we didn't take into account. It's something we didn't address, and therefore we get caught by surprise. So when I ask an executive, would you rather be caught by surprise or actually see what's there so you can address it? They always say, I'd rather see it than be caught by surprise.
Mm-hmm. We do several things to increase, let's say, performance in the team and better results. Do you have any evidence of working with a specific team that in a year's time you have seen results in increasing performance?
Yeah, and I can give you several. An IT organization, a police department, a not-for-profit organization, a large manufacturer. These are all organizations we've used sociomapping with in the past 10 months. I'll give you an example. A manufacturer, it gave the team of operations, which is 26 people, an opportunity to actually talk to each other, look at where the connections were strong, where they were weak, to begin to lay out a process of who needed to talk with who, because the sociomapping, as you know, allows people to see where they need to connect. And we came back 3 or 4 months later, productivity was up 20%, effectiveness and efficiency was up because people were talking and connecting and having the difficult conversations. Because I layer in the importance of courage, the courage to confront, the courage to be confronted, the courage to learn and grow, built into those things. In an IT organization, we had a billing department, we had an IT department that had to actually interface with each other. And we could see that the person up here in billing and a person down here in IT were not connected at all, and yet these two had to be talking, and they were going through a third party. And when we looked at that and we actually had them start talking to each other and the whole team began to address core issues, come back 4 months later and take a look, these two people, one that had been here and here, were now here. And they weren't having to go through that third party. And that meant that third party, who was a manager, was becoming much more efficient and effective and able to address other issues. So in every case where we've used it, we've seen improvements.
I have another question.
Sure.
The last years, instead of talking about employee satisfaction, we start talking more about engagement.
Yes.
Which tends to be quite a very, let's say, fashionable word now. The thing is, what is the experience in US, how people work with engagement, to what extent they really understand why they do what they do?
I think very similar. And what used to be called employee opinion surveys years ago, that's now looking at engagement, because we know that the more engaged employees are, the greater the profitability, the greater productivity, the greater the customer satisfaction scores are. So all senior leaders want to see their organization highly engaged. However, I know that you and I share a similar prejudice, which is talk is cheap. It's how you act. So as a consultant, as a leader, as a therapist, for me, it isn't so much what we say, it's what we do. So behavior becomes the key. And while everybody wants to have their organization more highly engaged, sometimes the leaders and the teams don't know what they need to do. And what I think a sociomap does is it points out where the opportunities are, and then we as consultants, as we talk with them, whether we're internal consultants or external, we can help surface those issues so they can talk about what they will do differently and how they will measure that. And the doing is tied directly to increasing engagement.